Good morning. Today we're going to look at some cut the cable options. My two favorites are Roku and Apple TV. I tend to be partial to Roku. Here is a look at both of them. Both these devices are similar in a lot of ways and different in a few ways. The connections, they both have the Ethernet, the HDMI, and the electric plug-in. The Roku also has a micro SD card and a USB connection. What that does, it allows you to play your home movies or your photos, and also with the SD card it'll load the channels faster because they'll load on there. Now the Apple TV, it updates constantly unless you turn it off, and I've had it freeze up my whole network and I have to unplug everything and go reboot it, so that's a little trying. The Apple TV does tend to have a crisper picture than the Roku. The remotes are quite different. The Roku, it has a simple direct remote. You push the button with the picture on it, and that's what it does. It's got the power, volume controls, home button, microphone, and then the Netflix, Sling. Now, the Apple remote is very touchy to use. It has a very different interface, and you definitely have to get used to it. Let's see how they work. We're going to start with the Roku, and this is exactly what I see on my television screen. And here it is when you turn it on. And this is the screen that you're going to get with the initial startup. The first thing you want to do with any hardware that you get is update it. So we're going to go ahead and update the Roku. First, we have to set up a connection. I have a wireless connection, and it'll check to make sure the connection's strong enough. And all of that is fine. And now I'm going to go to update. I'm in the system settings, system, and then system update. And it'll check. This will usually take a little bit to update this, so just let it run, and when it's done, it says update is done. You set your time. You have your USB media that you can launch, control, screen mirroring. This is really nice. You can mirror any of your PC or Mac screens to Roku. So you can kind of play with all that and see what it does at your leisure. And the themes, you can change your themes. Roku groups the channels by featured, new, all different kinds of groups, and you can scroll through those. And if you want to add a channel, some of them require registration, some of them require fees. You really don't know until you get there. This one, it looks like this one is free. There you go.
Should I? Please do.
Okay, and we'll go back. Now, some of the channels, you don't know that they're not free until you go to install them. And one of those, let me see, I'll find HBO. Now, if you have cable, you can register these with your cable and you can get them. But we'll go to HBO now, go to channel. Everything looks good, looks like it's free, looks like it's going to play. And still gets you happy that you got it. Then boom. So now if you register, you can register it like I said, if you have satellite or cable, and you can get it that way too. But YouTube works just like it does on the computer. And some of the channels will take a few seconds to log in, especially the first time. And then you just surf your channels like you would on your computer.
Well, I hope that I
What a great singer this is. Now we're going to take a look at the Apple TV. I want to make sure my TV input source is set to whatever input my Apple TV is plugged into. The Apple TV does take a couple seconds from the time you press the menu to the time it warms up. I'm going to go to the system settings and make sure I have network connection. I'm going to check network here. I like to use Ethernet because it's direct, it's fast. And now on the system, I'm going to make sure my updates are up to date. And I'm going to check. Software is up to date. Now on the Apple TV, you'll want to make sure your automatically update is turned off. Apple TV tends to update often, and this can cause your network to freeze. Here is your main screen. Apple TV is geared to go through iTunes, buy movies and TV shows and subscriptions. You'll get this screen and they'll say buy or rent, and they'll automatically tack it onto your iTunes account. Now the TV, clicking that, it will go through all of your installed applications and find where these things are. Be careful because some of them will charge you. But if it's a source that you already have, like NBC News, I didn't have, you can install it. Now, if you have a cable subscription, you can enter in and register it that way. And the next is your App Store. You can buy apps for your Apple TV. And again, it's through iTunes. Next one is your iTunes movies, iTunes TV shows. You can use iTunes to play music, you podcast, your photos, Facebook, Netflix. And here you'll register your Netflix account if you have one, and you can go ahead and watch anything on Netflix. Same thing, YouTube, lynda.com, Prime Video, Amazon. Here's YouTube, and it works pretty much like it does on your computer. You go ahead and flip through and find whatever you want. And this is your home screen. Any of the apps that you've purchased or any channels you've purchased will be here. So there is an introduction to Roku TV and Apple TV. The Roku is very easy to use, very simple to set up, and the controls are very straightforward and easily navigated. The Apple TV is very sleek. It's designed to work with Apple, work with iTunes. The apps, you don't have as many free apps as you do with the Roku, and Apple is geared towards getting you with their subscriptions and their applications using the Apple TV. But both are really good options for cutting the cable, and both are a lot cheaper than a satellite or cable bill. So hopefully this helps you out, and go watch some TV.